Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now guys, when I first came across this story, it shocked me. It did not surprise me because of course you don't find things like this surprising within the Nigerian space anymore, but it did shock me because we must continue to be shocked by these sort of stories. So with that guys, I bring you this. Ex-Governor Abdulaziz Yari writes Zamfara state government to demand payment of allowance. So that's the headline. Ex-Governor Abdulaziz Yari writes Zamfara state government to demand payment of allowance. So now let's see what demand this fella is making. Former Governor Abdulaziz Yari Abubakar has written to the Zamfara state government demanding the payment of his upkeep allowance, which according to him has not been paid for some months. He is demanding payments for the months of August, September, October, and possibly November. In the letter dated the 17th of October 2019, Yari said since the expiration of his tenure on May 29, 2019, he has only been paid the upkeep allowance twice, which was for the months of June and July, whilst his pension for the month of June has not been paid. According to the letter, the monthly upkeep allowance for an ex-governor in the state is 10 million naira, and it is backed by law, which was amended and assented to on March the 23rd, 2019. He reminded the state government that the pension and upkeep allowance are not in the category of privileges that can be truncated without any justifiable reason. The chairman, Publicity Committee of the All Progressive Congress in the state, Alhaji Ibrahim Mohammed Banin Magaji, confirmed the letter to correspondents, alleging that it was leaked by the state government. They leaked the letter because of the press conference we held last Saturday. After all, the ex-governor was asking for his entitlement, not any favor, Banin Magaji said. So now this is now the letter that's been sent by this chap demanding, not requesting, demanding 10 million naira per month. So now let's get into exactly the body of that letter, and there's a screen capture of this letter which I shall add to this video. But here is the letter. Office of the former Governor, Zamfara State, Honorable Abdulaziz Yari Abubakar Shatima Mafara. So that is his title, and then he adds a telephone number. So the letter is dated the 17th of October 2019, and it reads, His Excellency the Executive Governor, Zamfara State, grant of pension and other allowances for former governor, former deputy governor, former speaker, and former deputy speaker of Zamfara State. I wish to hereby draw your attention to the provision of the law on the above subject matter, which was amended and assented to on the 23rd of March 2019. The law provides, amongst other entitlements of the governor, a monthly upkeep allowance of 10 million naira only, and a pension equivalent to the salary he was receiving whilst in office. Accordingly, you may wish to be informed that since the expiration of my tenure on the 29th of May 2019, I was only paid the upkeep allowance twice, i.e. for the months of June and July, whilst my pension for the month of June has not been paid. As the law provides, the pension and upkeep allowance are not in the category of privileges that can be truncated without any justifiable reason. Hence, the need to request you kindly direct the settlement of the total backlog of the pension and upkeep provided by law. Whilst thanking you most sincerely in anticipated positive action, please accept my highest regards and esteem. So now this is now the letter that this guy has written to demand 10 million naira per month from the state coffers, plus pension, by the way. So 10 million naira per month as upkeep. That is just part of his entitlements, and then his pension is salary equivalent monthly on top of that as well. So now he's demanding this, and the same applies to the deputy governor. The same also applies to the Speaker of the House of Zamfara State, and the same also applies to the Deputy Speaker of Zamfara State. Now, it is worth noting when this law was actually brought to bear, when this law was assented to within the Zamfara State statutes. So this law was assented to on the 23rd of March 2019, a few months before this guy left office. So now you can see exactly what's happened here. A few months before this guy left office, he then put a package together for himself and his friends, 10 million naira to himself as an entitlement, and then a pension on top of that, which is the equivalent of his monthly salary. And you can be sure that he would have bumped that monthly salary up as well before he left, so that will be a good chunk of a few million as well. So we're talking in the region of 13-14 million monthly to this guy alone, just from the coffers of Zamfara State. Now, of course, his deputy will get something as well, not a package like his, but certainly something not too far behind. So his deputy will be getting something in the region of 7 to 12 million per month as well. Now, the Speaker of the House will be getting something in the region of 8 to 10 million, and the Deputy Speaker will be getting something in the region of let's say 7 to 8 million. So look at all of that, and then look at Zamfara State. What sort of economy is going on in Zamfara State? This is a debt poor state with no resources as far as we are aware. We are told that there's gold there, but it looks as though the gold there has already been purloined by the powers that be. So the gold is not a resource that is being used for the service of the state. No. So there's no real resource, there's no real economy in Zamfara State. Zamfara State is one of those states in Nigeria that is wholly and solely dependent on the national coffers. They are solely and wholly dependent on the stipends that they get from the Nigerian states, their monthly allocation from Aso Rock. And those monthly allocations, by the way, what are we talking about? 3-4 billion. So out of those 3-4 billion, these people by themselves are already, as a package, taken in the region of 30, 40, 50, even 60 million a month already coming out of the coffers of that state. And they are not just the only ones. There are several others with all these entitlements as well. These are just the ones that he is speaking to. So you can now see now how there can be no development in that state, because I cannot see with the state with the monthly allocation. I cannot imagine that the monthly allocation, somebody should go and check and put it in the comment section if you have the time to do that. But I cannot imagine that the monthly allocation, the monthly stipends that the Zamfara State gets from Aso Rock is more than 3 billion naira a month. So out of that 3 billion naira a month, these people are already grabbing a good 30, 40, 60, 70 million a month. So what is then left? So the state governor will pay himself too, and is not going to pay himself less than is paying the guy that's left office. They have to do all their boju tricks as well. So all the boju will eat up its own as well. So you can see that there is no development ever likely in that state. That state, just from this singularity of this action that we're seeing by this guy, is never going to develop, because even with the little that they have, let's say they want to be taking on 2 big projects a year, there is no spend, there's nothing left within the coffers of their allocation, which I don't imagine will be more than 2 billion naira, if even that, because the Nigerian Aso Rock is very stingy in terms of disbursing money to these people. So out of that very little that they get, and they have no internally generated economy or whatever, however it's called, in IIGR, internally generated resource. There's no resource in the state. There's no internally generated funds in that state, because there's no taxation, of course, because there's nothing happening in terms of an economy. So the stipends that they get from Aso Rock is all that they're relying on. And you have this sort of characters now, haven't now ruled that state for however many terms, is now still wanting to continue to feast off that state. But then, of course, this guy is not alone, because you can multiply this letter by 36. This is going on in 35 other states within the Nigerian structure, with all these elements who are X this and X that, collecting all these so-called stipends and allowances and upkeeps and whatever. And a lot of them, by the way, are in the Senate. So they are in the Senate collecting a fat salary, and we all know that the Nigerian senator is the highest paid person on the planet. So these people, they will leave some state house in some random state, go to the Senate to collect salary there. Then they'll be collecting all these 10, 20, 30, 40 million, depending on the state. So if you go to all those all derivation states, then you can imagine that these people are getting some 50, 60 million a month, never mind the small change that this one is demanding. So now multiply that by all of the states in Nigeria, and then you can begin to see where the problem is with that country. So you leave state house, you go to the Senate, you collect salary in the Senate, you collect pension in the place that you just left. On top of that pension, you collect upkeep, and they have to buy you a car every two years, and all this, that, and the other, provide for your children and pay for their schooling. And then you are suddenly a jobber, you are now government picking, but on a posh level. And this is the goings on in Nigeria. So this guy's letter really jarred me, and I decided to make a video about it. What says you? Conversations in the comment section. Let me know what you're making of this thing that we're seeing out of Zamfara state. And by the way, we're not singling out Zamfara state, because as I said, this repeats right across the board. Tinubu, you can be sure, he's still collecting his pension, even though he has left the state house in Lagos state, God knows how long. Maybe they are even still paying Jakonde his entitlement, God knows. Obasanjo is still collecting his entitlement all these years after. Babangida is collecting entitlement. You can imagine that Shonekon is collecting entitlement. The Goodluck Jonathan is collecting entitlement. Everybody is collecting entitlement. So out of all of this entitlement, what is then left? What is there left for the Nigerian person is really where the question is. Come have chats with me about all this in the comment section. But before you do this, click on the red subscribe button so it turns gray. Bell button notifies you every time I drop a new video. Then come tell me what you feel that you are entitled to as a citizen of Nigeria in the comment section. So I'll leave you here. Join me in the comment section. But here I say peace.